Okay, I'm just sorting out the live stream. Just about there. Okay, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Let me just check the volume levels. So yeah, you can hear me talking, which is always good. Let me just move the volume levels of the simulator up a bit as well. So we are at Los Angeles International in Flight Simulator. Let's go and load up Navigraph as well, because we will be needing it. So we'll just unload the previous plan and we'll import from Simbrief. I filed this with Simbrief just to keep it interesting. So we're going to do a bit of a trip around Los Angeles. There's a few aeroplanes out there, some multiplayer aircraft. I've got rid of the AI aircraft out of the airport because obviously there'll be so many, it will just destroy the frame rate. So Newell is saying, do you always play in an online server? Quite often. So I'm on Southeast Asia this evening, but sometimes I turn it off because if I'm trying to show people something specifically, and people keep trying to hang around in the shot to have their kind of 30 seconds of fame or whatever they want to call it, it kind of ruins it sometimes. So I sometimes do have to go and turn all the data off on purpose. Anyway. We are at the Inibuilds rendition of Los Angeles International, so I'll go and pull away from our aeroplane to show you a little bit of the airport. So it's a very, very smoggy day today, so I've got half a mind to come in here and turn the live weather off for a few minutes. We'll just put on a few clouds to make it look pretty so we can actually see the airport without all the mist being in the way. So this is Los Angeles International from Inibuilds. So if we just zoom out, you can see it's an absolutely colossal airport. It's enormous. So we're still panning out. I'm going to accelerate the drone camera because it's going to take so long to get it all into shot. We're in the clouds, look, to be able to fit it into the shot. And we're still going. Now that is a big airport, so let's speed the drone camera up even more and we'll have a look around it from overhead. I think this airport is up there with, you know, the Denvers of this world. So if you've never seen it in the simulator, Denver is absolutely colossal as well. So let's come back down. And we'll have a look around the airport. So you can see the marks on the runways are fantastic. That isn't always done in the simulator, but the closer you get, look. The scratches and the marks are really, really nicely done, and they make it look kind of like well used. I think the term is that you might use. So we'll just straighten the camera up. So if we come further out, you can see the scenery keeps going. We've got all the ancillary buildings. There's a Dakota down here, look. Or sorry, a DC-3. Let's use the name that the US people would understand. But there's this scenery just keeps going. Look, all the roads alongside have been modelled, the freeway. So there isn't so much of the interior of the airport modelled for obvious reasons, because it would just be crazy, wouldn't it? So we just come around the far end of the runways. You know, don't get me wrong, if we come in closer, then all of these buildings are modelled in detail. And we've got palm trees. So if we come up the road here, through the airport, it's mad, isn't it? So you've got road signage. various buildings. So what's this one? The United Cargo Depot. That's probably where my airplane should be, because I've got the freighter version of the ATR ready for us. So you've got various hotels here that are modelled. The Sheraton, the Homewood Suites Hotel. I have no idea what any of these places are, by the way. Hyatt Regency. So it does look like they are building some sort of monorail here. There's lots of pillars here that look like they're going to be supporting something in the future. Or at the time this was modelled, they were going to. So then if we come down, and we got the flag here, and there's some sort of... no idea what these structures are for. So we've got the control tower up here. I'm not sure what the hooped shape is. I think it's a restaurant, somebody told me earlier. So if we come down, you can actually see there are windows underneath. So I think it's some sort of restaurant. It's one hell of a design, isn't it? Surrounded by car parks. So the view can't be that incredible, can it? So we've got the tower here. And if we go and bring ourselves in towards the tower, come inside, and obviously it's low resolution. Given the size of the airport, it would be crazy to have two higher resolutions anywhere, but it's still impressive. They've got keyboards and trackballs and screens, paper trays. It's nuts, isn't it? Radar screens everywhere. If that guy doesn't stop revving his engine, I may go and disable all traffic. I'm sure he's doing it on purpose. Okay, so let's go and have a look around some of the gates to see how well the gates are modelled. So I don't think the internals of any of the gates are modelled. So, but we can go down and see what the furniture's like around them to see the level you'll be expecting to see if you pull in. It is mad, isn't it? Over to the next building. So they're not just duplicated, look, the buildings are completely different designs to each other. So it's all been done accurately. As I said, yeah, they haven't got interiors, most of these. The big terminal at the far end that I'm heading towards slowly has got an interior, so we'll go in and show you around that. There's obviously a huge construction project going on here that is modelled in this version of the scenery. So there's cranes everywhere and construction site is ongoing. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Ah, maybe that's the railway track. Are those the elements of it, maybe? I don't know. I haven't got a clue. So coming back up over the top. It's just huge, isn't it? The entire place. So if we fly, actually we'll come in through this end and we'll go back towards our aeroplane. So this terminal building is modelled inside. You can see it, look, from the outside. So we'll come in down at this far end. And we'll pretend to be a person, shall we? Or no, we'll have a little bit of altitude. And we'll fly through the building. So you can see the signs are everywhere. Again, they're lower resolution, but just because of the scale of it, I think. We could speed up. So if we speed up a little bit, otherwise it'll take forever to get all the way down the terminals. So anyone who's actually been here will be able to verify how accurate this is. I obviously haven't, but it's still fascinating for me to come in here. So it's worth pointing out, we're flying along. There's all this structure above us as well. So if we come back down. And fly up in the air again, and you find out there's Seating areas. Multiple levels of seating areas. It's crazy, isn't it? How many hours did this take to construct? So coming down towards duty free, I guess, or a bookstore at least. The North Concourse, gates 130 to 148. It seems a little bit eerie, doesn't it, without any people in it? So if we fly down to the end. We can fly straight through the glass and turn our camera around. And there's our aeroplane down at this end. But look at that structure, doesn't it look incredible? There are various other structures that have got things in, so if we come over here and have a look, there's another building here, look, with more inside it. So I haven't actually noticed this one before. This is new to me as well. So I've been in here once earlier today after I first installed it, but then I thought I needed to share this with everybody. So shiny floors. So coming back through here, it's very cool, isn't it? Can you even imagine starting out to build a project like this? It's insanity. Absolute insanity. So obviously there's a huge tank farm down this end of the airfield. There's probably not much point in looking around that in too much detail. And you can see out in the distance we've got Los Angeles is over there, or the central part of the city, and then you've got the hills over to the left. And we'll circle round over that way on our route and go and hopefully fly over the Hollywood sign. I'm just going to go and have a quick look at this pillar over here. Obviously photogrammetry has picked it up, but it's, yeah, I think it's just some sort of structure. Okay, back towards our aeroplane. So we have got the new freighter version of the ATR loaded in, just to be nosy and have a look at it really. So it's obviously quite different in that the doors are different. So we'll come in down the side of the aircraft and have a look around it. Obviously the modelling of the ATR is very, very good. So you can see the fixtures and fittings around the cargo doors are even modelled nicely. I've never actually looked around the ATR in this much detail before, to be honest. So it's interesting to go and see the level they've taken it to. It's very good, isn't it? And the resolution is very good as well. So obviously the sound is going to cut in and out. That's really the simulator's fault. When we are exposed to the outside world, we hear the outside sounds, and when we're inside, they're muffled. But look at the detail on the attachments and fittings. Very cool. Okay, so we got our pilot sat there waiting to go. So we shouldn't hold her up too much longer. Let's go and get this aeroplane started up, shall we? So if we press insert, we're inside the ATR. So we're going to see how different it is, if we're going to get tripped up by anything along the way. So I've loaded the flight plan from Simbrief. That's the only thing I've done so far, just to make sure the airplane was working correctly. So if we've imported it, we can set the flight plan, whatever that does. Set the fuel. Is it going to work? It's taking a while to think about doing whatever this is doing. It's stuck. Have we broken it immediately? It would appear we have. The tablet is frozen. Now, is that because we haven't actually turned the airplane on? So well, let's go and try this. So Control 6. We'll go and put the batteries on and see how far we get. So external lights, nav goes to on. So then we're going to use hotel mode just for a bit of fun. So we'll go and press the hydraulic auxiliary pump. And it's not going to say ready. Interesting. So maybe we have completely broken it. Yeah, something's broken here. I am going to go back out to the main menu and load back in. And we'll come in and do things properly, rather than, because I was obviously monkeying with the aeroplane when I first got into it to open the doors and have a look around. Who knows what we've done? But then this is like, although this is supposed to be a fairly major update of the aeroplane, so we've still got the same one, the 72600F. We'll put ourselves back on the ground at exactly the same place, load in, and see how we get on. How strange that it broke. We'll do things in the right order this time and not try and push any flight plans across without systems being booted up. It's still interesting that it didn't work though. Okay, so let me go and turn off the tooltips. We don't need them. I had them on for another aeroplane earlier that I was digging around in. I know how to spend my weekends, don't I? So we can import the flight plan, hopefully. Has it remembered? No, it's remembered nothing. Look, it's lost my ID. So 330... and you can't use the keyboard. 330725, enter. And that doesn't change the status of that, but this should work now. And there we go. So there's our flight plan. So rather than do anything out of the ordinary at this point, we're going to go and run through the correct procedure. So, battery on. Nav lights to on. And then we'll try the hotel mode startup. Oh, we have to wait for the screens first, don't we? So that may have been why the hotel mode wasn't working. So we'll just wait for the avionics to come up. That's probably a very good reason why. Serves me right for not reading my own instructions. Just reading the live stream comments, somebody was running a long flight in the background and they heard the menu music and had a panic attack. There we go. So the screens are up. So we should now be able to press the hydraulic auxiliary pump button. And yes, the prop brake's going to work now. So with it ready, we can engage the prop brake. So, signs, seatbelt signs need to go to on. Let me go and press Control 6 again to get this lined up nicely for us. And the emergency exit light can go to armed. The windshield heating can go on. The enunciation lights can go to bright. And then oxygen can go to on. And the main supply can go to on. That's interesting. Why was that off previously? Okay, that's good. That's changed. Those buttons weren't like that before. So, engine start in hotel mode. We need to make sure the gust lock is on or back, and it is. And then go back overhead. Engine 2 pump goes to on. Ignition start can go to start A. And then we're going to start engine number 2. So down in the cockpit, we'll see the numbers coming up. And once it gets past, was it 10%? We can move through to feather. And let the engine run. And then overhead, we can go and turn the engine start system off. So the other MFDs should be coming up. Here they come. Now we have more power being generated from the generator on the engine. So while we're waiting for that, we can go look at the FGCP. So we're going to come down. Sorry, FGCP is up here. We could go and set the heading and so on ready for the runway direction, couldn't we? So we're going to have to look at both screens and this at the same time. So I'll just try and just about fit both in. So we are, let's go and have a look at Navigraph. We're taking off runway 24 left. So if we come down to the airport and have a look at it, or we could look at the actual airport chart, couldn't we? So 24 left is over here. It's actually 251 degrees. So let's go and get our heading bug pointed to 251, which isn't too far away from where we are. Look, there we go. 251 is now reading there. We'll calibrate the barometric pressure while we're here. We can select our nav source. We're going to be using GPS navigation, which is good, which is FMS basically, or FM as far as this says. Altitude target. We're going to go, and if we have a quick look to show you this crazy little flight plan, the standard instrument departure will take us out to anywhere above 5,000 feet at Squirrel. So let's go and set our altitude target at 5,500 feet. Okay. And we might want to go and put the bearings on display on the bottom corners of the primary flight display. Okay, so Control 4 brings us into the MCDU. We can go into the FMS section, and init, and go to pos init and pick up the GPS position, and it will fill it in. Then we can go to sensors initialization and return, and then go into the wait section, and then we can long click to save us some time. Oh, this is a good point though. Are these numbers correct? Let's go and have a look at that tablet, because it had some options, didn't it, to pull in the data from Simbrief. So if we say set fuel and set payload, there we go. Suddenly got heavy. So let's go and long press these again and see if it's made any difference. Or do we have to load it? I did set fuel and set payload. If I go to payload, load aircraft, start loading, close. It looked like it did it the moment we did it, so set takeoff trim, that will help us as well. Let's go back down. So zero fuel weight hasn't changed. It shouldn't change. Or it has changed a little bit. Fuel on block has changed. Gross weight has changed as well. Okay, so or hasn't changed. Sorry. So if we want to go and do the flight plan and go to route, let's see if this will fill in via the tablet then if we use this to do it. So if we go to flight plan and set flight plan, well, it hasn't broken this time and it's filled it up. So I think there is a bit of a hole in the programming there where you have to have the system up and running before you tell it. So it's doing KLAX, it's doing the scroll SID, which is correct. Then WAGB, WAGB, VPLAX, Stabo, that all looks good. So let's have a scroll through just to see if there's any discontinuities. No, that looks like we've got everything. Very good. So now we've got the flight plan in, that saved us a ton of time. So if we just press flight plan, leave it on that page, and then go to the cockpit, and we could at this point pre-select, if we watch the modes up here, we could pre-select nav or LNAV, and there it goes. We could do heading as well, so I believe it will do both, yeah. So it will do heading select with LNAV as a backup, so as soon as it picks up the GPS track, it will drop heading select and go to LNAV. We can do the same thing with vertical speed, so we could say vertical speed off the runway, we want, say, 2,500 feet a minute. But then you could use VNAV if you want, but we're just going to stick with indicated airspeed mode, actually. It'd be nicer for us, I think. So indicated airspeed mode, you set a target airspeed. So we'll say, yeah, 135 knots is fine, just for the initial climb out, and then we'll adjust it as we go. So any excess power will give us climb rate. We calibrated the altimeters, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, tablet, control 3, go to the aircraft tab and close any doors, remove wheel chocks and that kind of stuff. We haven't got a tail prop or anything. Make sure the parking brake is on, it is. So back in the cockpit, we're going to go to the, where are we? Switch EFIS to show performance data, the MFD perf page. So we have to go perf, confirm the takeoff data. That's interesting, that's on a different page than normal. So it says takeoff data is confirmed. So it has some new information here about the true air temperature, and interesting. So the next thing we're going to do is go and get the engine, sorry, the trim. The trim's correct already. It's almost exactly right. So we can do pushback at this point. So we already removed the wheel chocks on the tablet. So we'll press Shift and P in the sim so we can watch this happen. Shift and P. Well, it would appear we don't... Oh, there is a tractor coming. Oh, it's one of these silly ones. It always gets it wrong with the ATR, and he'll end up doing a limbo act underneath the nose of the aeroplane. Unless they fixed it, of course. Oh, huge thanks to Glenda with the lovely comment in the live stream. I'll be getting bashful with all these compliments. All I'm really doing is sharing the information that I learn as I learn it, so sometimes I get things wrong. I'm always very transparent about what I've learned and what I've got wrong, what I've got right. Oh, should we go and change that weather because it's horrific? You won't see any scenery if we have the live weather on. It's a real smoggy day in Los Angeles. So he's looking like he's just waiting for us to come off the parking brake, which I've just done. Do we have to control the pushback in the tablet? Aircraft. No. Have they got a problem with the pushback? We don't have options in here to control it, do we? Press Shift P again. And again. See if we can get him to push the aeroplane. Otherwise, we can always start the engines reverse. Yeah, look, this is the problem. It's always been a problem with the ATR. The tugs never attach properly. If he suddenly snaps into place, we'll know he's sorted his life out. He's having a real problem down there, isn't he? I think we'll give up on him being able to do that, and we'll maybe go for reverse. We'll get one more go. Okay, let him pull away a little bit. And tell him to try once more. It's funny, isn't it? Watching an AI tug getting things badly wrong. He now is imagining that the aeroplane is 20 feet further forward than it actually is. Keith is saying he's new. Brilliant. Oh, hopefully he will get the tug attached this time and we'll start going backwards. It's not looking hopeful, is it? Come on, you can do it. No, he's not going to even push it, is he? It's a bit of a shame. Unless there's a discrepancy. Oh, we've got the emergency brakes on, haven't we? Of course we have. That will help. I always forget that the ATR has them. We can start the engines, by the way, at the gate. It's just I've got it in my instructions here that we can perform pushback at this point if we want to. So it's not set in stone in the real world. It's just obviously there are procedures to be carried out with putting cones around the airplane, that sort of thing. So let's go and put that emergency brake back on park. And hopefully he'll get it in his mind now that he's not needed anymore and we'll go back to the terminal. So we are going to go and release the prop brake. So before we do that, we're going to go overhead and put the beacon light on to tell everybody we're about to start the engines, then press Control 5. Yeah, so this is where we need to have a better view of this. So hydraulic goes back in. It says ready up here, so we should be able to come off the prop brake. And if we look outside, we have a propeller spinning up. Give it a few moments. The animation's awful on it, isn't it? If we look inside the cockpit, we should be able to push it forwards to auto. We'll sit and wait and watch it spin up. Hopefully the animation will catch up soon. I think this animation's a bit muddled. So if we were to open that engine up, I wonder if Asobo know that's been done. Anyway, we're not going to worry too much about the animations. So engine 1 starts. So we go back overhead, we put the ignition back onto A, we open the fuel pump, and we hit start for engine number 1. Then down in the cockpit we can see the percentages coming up. When it goes past 10%, we can lift this to feather, and it should carry on through. And we can go straight forward to auto. And have they messed both engines up? It would appear so. I shouldn't laugh, really. Okay, so then overhead, once the engines are started, obviously we can turn off the ignition. And then down in the cockpit we can release the gust lock now. And then overhead we can go and put the taxi and taxi lights on, so they're down here. Go and set the flaps for takeoff, which will be 15 degrees. Go to the serve page of the FMS and go and set transponder. So we've got it on standby at the moment, we're going to switch it on. And we can go taxi, so we can release. Let me just check that we've got reversers and they're on axis, good. So off the emergency brake. Throttles are working. This thing can almost turn around in its own length, can't it? Have we still got the crazy animations? Yeah, that's obviously a bug, isn't it? So let's go and follow the lines out for the taxiways, and we'll stop once we get to the taxiway, because I've not looked at the airport chart yet. I don't know how to get to where we need to be. Okay, so bear with me, I'm just going to stick us on the parking brake for a moment. Navigraph is usually the good one for this. So we're going to have to go around here, along Kilo, and then along Bravo. Oh no, is it 24 left? Sorry. Let's go and double check the Simbrief plan. So, 24 left. That's good then. That's a much shorter taxi. So, Delta or Echo, and then to 24 left. So straight in front of us basically, and turn right. Okay, off the brakes again. It's like a dragster, isn't it, this thing? When you turn the blades into the airflow. So this is the Delta taxiway, and this is the Echo one we're about to turn on to. Here you can see there's a sign there, look for Echo. So if we have a look at the map on Navigraph, you should see our little aeroplane is going along. So we'll go on the next entry point onto the runway. We don't need the whole runway. We're only a little turboprop. We don't need 10,000 feet of runway like some of the big jets. And we're obviously the only aeroplane here because I've turned the traffic off. Apart from the odd multiplayer person who might be hanging around. Oops, so landing lights on. Where's the strobes? Oh, I want the no device sign on, don't I? There's the strobes. Should put the logo light on as well, just for a bit of fun. So let's just go and double check overhead. We need to go and put the probe heats on. So we've got the captain standby and first officer probe heats. We've done the strobes, we've done the landing lights. So then we're going to go and double check the power management knob is on takeoff. It's complaining about oxygen. Did we not configure the oxygen? Let's go and have a look overhead. Where's the oxygen system? We did it up here, didn't we? What's going on with that then? We're only going to be flying at low altitude anyway, so probably need to read about that to make sure. That's obviously is changed. So there may be something I need to select for that. We're only going to be flying at about a few thousand feet. So we're going to do sightseeing. It's going to be essentially a visual flight, even though we've got a flight plan. Just double checking. So we can come off the parking brake. Let's go and get the aeroplane ready then. Okay, we've got a discrepancy somewhere. It's just complaining about the oxygen. I think the trim's got something badly wrong with it. Oh my word, it really has. What is going on? We have an emergency.
Don't sink.
Can I just check something?
Don't
yeah,
sink.
The yokes are working.
Don't sink.
Is that payload layout maybe? What is going wrong? I think this this version of the ATR might need some work. Yeah, look, I'm full forward stick. It's almost like it's got no elevators. Look. Unless it's payload layout. Let's just have a look. No, it's got no elevator influence whatsoever. And this has broken. There's no marker on here whatsoever. Oh no, it isn't. It's over here, look. So our payload is illegal by the look of it. I wonder if we can change it while we're in the air. So what I'm going to do... This is unexpected. I've come off the flight plan completely. We'll resolve that in a moment. So we're going to remove the payload from the aeroplane. because I suspect that's what's causing it. We now only have the pilots. Yeah, it was the payload. It was badly loaded. And that was the Simbrief payload. But I guess that's because Simbrief doesn't know about the aeroplane. So there's going to be a whole section there to deal with. We were lucky to survive that, really. So throttles to notch and we'll get it back under control. That's to do with Simbrief not knowing about payload layout, I guess. Or the aeroplane not knowing about it. So we're going to do a circle, come back. Yeah, we're now overspeeding. We know. That's because of the gear. We will get it back under control. There we go. So there's the airfield that we've just departed from. So we're going to treat this like a bit of a VFR flight for the moment. Let's have a look at our flight plan. So we're going to come back down the airport, turn around, overfly. We were lucky to survive that. Have any of you on the live stream ever seen the 747 that was badly loaded? That went nose up and then went straight into the floor? It kind of reminded me of that. So we've just done the equivalent, while I was obviously doing it in the simulator, of opening the back door and throwing everything out of the aeroplane. So it would appear there are considerations then around loading the contents of the aeroplane correctly, which I obviously took no notice of. I just took the load from Simbrief, which gave it a poor load layout. Okay, so it's Los Angeles. So what leg does this think it's on? It's still going towards, it's still doing squirrel, so we should be able to, with a little bit of luck, turn the autopilot on. And it's gone into LNAV. It's in altitude hold at the moment. So let's go vertical speed mode. Better. I just want to slow it down and get everything under control a bit more. So our original flight plan was to go and do this SID. It's not doing LNAV at all, is it? It's completely ignoring it. I'm breaking it away from LNAV. We'll just fly it by hand for a bit. And we'll correct the flight plan later. So I wanted to go and have a look at LA. Unless it's for flying towards the end of the SID, which I wouldn't blame it. So the SID ended over by the hills. It's just it looked like it was almost shortcutting the whole thing to go to Ricky. So if we try that again. So it's operating in LNAV. Interesting. Yeah, so it's kind of doing it. It's coming up to 5,500 feet, at which case we'll level out. Obviously, we came into the SID from the wrong place, which has thrown its brain enormously. So it's going for the end of the SID, and then it will round off and go to Wagby. Just looking at this of what it's got drawn on here. So this turn here. Interesting. So let's turn the head tracking off a moment so we can get the screens sorted out. It'd be good if we had nav on the screen, navigation display. And if we could zoom out on that, would be wonderful. Wrong way. There we go. So it's heading for the waypoint, and then it's going to turn back towards Wagby. Well, we'll see if it does. If it does, we get to have our nice little trip around the Los Angeles area and look out from the... There we go, it's working. There goes the flight director. And we're at 5,500 feet. Has it gone to... Yes, it's gone to altitude hold mode. Which is what I wanted. And we have a transalt in formation. We could put the weather back on live, couldn't we? Might be quite interesting, although it's probably going to be foggy as anything. Yeah, that was the risk. The smog over the city is going to make it impossible to see anything. So we'll go with few clouds. That's a shame about the animations, isn't it? It's a bit broken. Okay, let's put the engines back to notch and see if they will overspeed or not. Can it accelerate? Oh my word. Yeah, that's not going to slow down, is it? We're going to need to temper the throttles. Notch is fine at 20,000 feet, but not at 5,000 feet. That's okay. So can we get a view out of the window? I just accidentally pressed the autopilot button. I just don't want to see the outside view with those propellers because it's going to annoy everybody. So we're going to fly, hopefully, right over the top of the city. So we're going to fly out along here, which will take us past the Hollywood sign. Well, that's the plan. So we're going exactly the right place, look, to see the Hollywood sign off of our left wing. As we come out. Is this it here? I can never quite remember where it is. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? When we get a bit closer, hopefully we'll be able to see it. The displays froze up. That was funny. Well, I always leave anything that goes wrong in the videos, as you know. Everything is absolutely live with no edits, because that's the only way you learn. And then obviously it's really valuable. Sometimes somebody else will have seen the same thing and have already figured out the workaround, and then they'll obviously jump in and say, seen that, been there, this is how you can avoid it or how you can fix that. Classic one that happened with the ATR recently is they changed the code at some point where you have to have the gust lock has to be on for the engaging and disengaging prop brake to work properly. It's like a safety mechanism. So here's the city. So if we come out over to the co-pilot side, we can get a good view of the city. We're about to turn though, which is not going to work well. There we go. Let's have a look at our plan. That was a fun takeoff, wasn't it? So back out to Stabo and then off along the line of the coast, waypoint to waypoint, to go sightseeing basically. So let's have a quick look at the elevation plot in LittleNavMap just to make sure. So we are at we'll say we're doing VFR, even though we're not, 5,500 feet. So we're well above what we need for the route. So we can stay at this height all the way and just go sightseeing basically. Might be an idea to just drop below. Well, we could alter the weather, couldn't we? I always forget you can do this. So you know this cloud's a bit low for us at the moment. Let's go and do that. We'll let the cloud exist, but just not in our eye line. Or maybe we make it lower, but we make it less sparse, less dense. It's very cool, isn't it, that we're able to do this sort of thing. Because the default clouds, there's all sorts, like scattered obviously has put us right into the middle of a cloud there. They just put different layers in and you can see how they configure them. So we've got a broken cloud, which is obviously a lot more coverage. Obviously clear skies. We might be okay with, yeah, the smog is going to be the killer this part of the coast, although we will be clearing it fairly soon, so maybe we leave it on live weather now. That animation glitch is awful, isn't it? No, maybe just for the moment we'll go clear skies so we can see the landscape below, and we'll go from the pilot side. So if we go and have a look at Navigraph, and we'll turn off that view of our departure airport. We're just coming back out then after doing our crazy loop around the city and then heading off along the coast up towards San Francisco. So it's going to be a gentle route watching the scenery go whizzing by. I'll go and grab LittleNavMap and put it on open window layout minimal, and we'll put it up in the corner so anybody that wanders in. We'll also get rid of the taskbar from Windows, so make it automatically hide it, and we'll move this so that if you're wondering whereabouts we are at this moment, you can see. Actually, it would make more sense to put it down here, wouldn't it? You can see the place names at least scrolling past as we go. So we're about to go past the Santa Monica Mountains National Park. And we've got just enough altitude to clear them safely along the way. So settle in for a nice gentle trip up the coast. We're just under 250 knots ground speed. I wonder if we go to the drone camera. And we move it with the controller. I think that'll freak people out, won't it? Especially with it moving around. We'd have to use one of the showcase cams, I suppose. This is probably better than the showcase camera, having this angle. So if anybody that's interested, I'm going to go make a coffee in a moment, but anyone that's interested, I made a whole load of different procedures today for the black box aircraft in the simulator. So the Islanders, the Islander, the Turbo Islander, the Defender, I can't remember what the other one was. But I can't remember. But yeah, lots and lots of black box aeroplanes. Ones that I had been meaning to write procedures up for a long time. So I wonder if we're out of that smog yet, if we go and change the weather. More or less. We go a little bit higher up in the cockpit. Can we do that? No, it's not going to let us. That's a shame. Yeah, we'll end up with our head in the ceiling. Just trying to see how much panoramic view I can give you. There we go. Then you get the navigation display as well. And we've still got the oxygen alert going off. I think that might be a bug though, because the system was on. What we'll do is put LittleNavMap over it so we can't see it flashing. Right, I'm going to go make a coffee. I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back. Should we move the view to the right side of the aeroplane so we can actually see the coast? That's about right, isn't it? Actually, if we put a little bit on the bottom, then we can hide LittleNavMap down in this corner and not obscure the view as we go past. So we're coming up towards Naples on the coast. Santa Barbara is in the clearing down here. We're just seeing a pier in front of us. So we'll actually see Santa Barbara out of the left side of the aeroplane, so maybe we do go and jump back to the cockpit. So yeah, Santa Barbara is down here. Put this back over this side so we can make some sense of it as we travel. If we can get the view down a little bit more. Okay. So we are going to hopefully cross those mountains and not slam into them. There's a VOR beacon right on top of the ridge line above Santa Barbara, or Vortac I should say. VOR and TACAN. You can see there's a fairly strong line of cloud right the way across where San Francisco will be in the distance. So who knows what we're going to face, but we have got ILS on the approach into Salinas, so it should be okay. So you can see, if you look carefully, there's the main runway, Santa Barbara. In fact, let's move the view sideways and we get a closer look at it as we go past. If we zoom in, yeah, you can see the runway, look. There's another runway that direction. And the terminal building's down here. Golf course. Being kicked around a little bit by the wind that's just coming over these hills. It's coming from directly in front of us. It's not too fast though. So what's out the other side of the aeroplane now? Now we've crossed the ridge. So I've got a 66-mile run over to, is that, whoops, San Luis County, or San Luis County, and then after that we've got a 70-mile run before we navigate back inland and join the route into Salinas, runway 31. So we'll go past Monterey on the way. Back to the pilot side of the cockpit. Go and check the volume levels. Okay, yeah, you can hear me over the engine. That's fine. I always worry about the sound levels. I do everything on one screen. I was talking about this earlier today with somebody. That, yeah, they were expressing disbelief that I managed to do everything on one screen and just alt-tab between the programs. But I've just got used to it, I guess. I have been thinking about getting a second screen just so I can run things I don't want to clog up the main screen, and then I'll obviously be able to choose what I want to appear and what I don't. But we'll see. Three screens. I think my dad's the champion. He's got something like 5 screens for different purposes, obviously, and then I think 2 of them are G1000s, or was it real sim gear screens? But then he's got, yeah, 3 big screens above the computer, which is madness. Saying that, I have got 3 screens in front of me. So I've got the simulator, I've got a second computer that I've got the procedure on, and I've got a laptop that's running the YouTube stream so I can see it alongside. So I am essentially running 3 screens, but I'm only using one on the main machine that's running Flight Sim. So yeah, I was thinking while I was making a cup of tea, what caused the problem with the loadout and the takeoff. Obviously Simbrief thought this was a passenger plane and did the loading for it, which obviously there's a lost in translation element to that. So if you think about it, when it came into here, Simbrief, or this, however it does it, this aeroplane shared the passengers across the container areas, or the passenger loading weights across the container areas, and it threw out the centre of gravity because Simbrief doesn't know about this aeroplane yet. so it loaded it incorrectly. Or, you know, however, whichever way around it happens, so whether Simbrief doesn't know the airplane or the airplane doesn't translate what Simbrief gives it, that's what caused the problem. So you might say it's the airplane's fault because when we went into flight plan, we pulled down the payload from Simbrief and it just did it and didn't complain. But also it's on me because I didn't come in here and look at the, where is it, the payload page to see where the CG was, or to see where the marker was, sorry. So weight versus, what do we have here? Yeah, the MAC. But there you go. That was the problem. So the airplane loaded itself incorrectly, but also I didn't check this screen. So if you are using the ATR 72600F, which is the new one, you need to check this. Otherwise, because this cross was way out over here, beyond the limit of the parameters. Should we have a look at this oxygen problem while we're en route? We're only at a few thousand feet, so it's not a problem. So we've got low pressure. So if we were to turn that off, it's still going to complain about oxygen. Now, why is it complaining about low oxygen pressure? It should be an automated system on this aeroplane. We're only at 5,500 feet. If we turn this on, so with this off and that's just showing low pressure, we still get the warning. So it's obviously something I need to read about to get it to fix itself. Okay, where are we anyway? Oops, I've just pressed the key above tab by accident, which has given us an extra 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. I don't know if any of you have seen this. They introduced this a couple of versions ago in Flight Simulator. The top left key on your keyboard, the one underneath the escape key, gives you a couple of 1,000 feet and engines on instantaneously. So I've just cut the throttles to avoid the overspeed warning because the aeroplane's trying to get itself back down to 5,500 feet. It's doing it at a colossal rate. There we go, and it's just lifted, look. So be very careful of pressing, it's the backtick key, or that's what we know it as programmers. It gives you, it's kind of, you can use it as a get out of jail card if you're in trouble with an aeroplane. You press it a couple of times and you gain a few 1,000 feet each time you press it. And I just pressed it completely by accident. Okay, we've just about got the speed balanced out again. Should we have a look at some of the custom views on the aeroplane? I've never really played with them. So if we go into the camera display and we go to showcase mode, we've got several fixed cameras. There's one there which is the light. Oh, they've only got the one. That's interesting. Usually has lots. Quick view 1, 2 and 3. And 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. What about cockpit quick views? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Yeah, they're a bit of an afterthought, aren't they? They haven't even programmed number 8. So if we just press F, it comes back to normal. And if we slide ourselves forwards, we get to look out with an almost unencumbered view of the oncoming scenery. So we're going to carry on along the coastline, watching the towns and villages whistle past. So let's go and zoom in so we can see the names of some of these places. So Pismo Beach is just off to our left, and then Avila Beach is just beyond it, or Avia, I imagine it's pronounced. And then just over the other side, Morro Bay, Baywood, Cayucos, Harmony, Cambria, San Simeon, Ragged Point, Corda, Plaskett, Lucia, Slate's Hot Springs, Pfeiffer Big Sur State Park. We're going to be flying right over the top of it. We're not going quite as far as Big Sur. We're going to go around Carmel. Isn't that where Clint Eastwood used to have his restaurant many years ago? Don't know if it still does. So Alpha Indigo is asking, am I testing out the Tech Alpha of 2024? No. I'm not. I'm going to wait for the final thing to get released. I'd rather not be a bug tester. I've quite happily put my money down, prepaid for the release version, and I'll wait. I don't want to go through the hassle of having to remove it and reinstall it again when the final one appears. I'm quite happy flying around in 2020 at the moment because, well, I was going to say because it works, but then look at this aeroplane this evening. It's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? And because I quite often live stream, you find out that things are broken at the exact same moment that I do. Or you find me problem solving on the fly. It does make me laugh when I watch. I mean, I don't watch other YouTube channels perhaps as much as I should, because I think some of them are fantastic. But it does make me laugh when you see cuts in their edit, especially when they're doing reviews and things like that, and you think, oh, hello, something went wrong there, didn't it? Makes me smile. I mean, I'm all for really good production values, because I have no production values on my videos. You're literally getting a raw feed of my screen and me just talking away with whatever I happen to be doing. But I do admire the people that put an awful lot more effort into the production and post-production. I would rather put the effort into research and documentation and trying out what-ifs with the aeroplanes. I will admit I am really looking forward to the new sim for lots of reasons. One of them being the wake vortices. So it's going to be fun to go and do standard rate turns, for example, and see if you can hit your own wake. So I seem to have a schedule. Well, there's kind of. I try to mix it up and not just do the same thing over and over. You will have seen I tend to fly West Coast USA quite often. The only reason for that is because it's daylight there when I have the opportunity to record. And okay, doing the odd night flight is good fun and it looks very pretty, but you don't actually get to see anywhere you're going. So yeah, quite often I will fly with live weather and live time, or I prefer to fly with live weather and live time. Because you never know what it's going to throw at you, and sometimes you get the most brilliant weather happening, and it makes for a much more interesting academic exercise to deal with whatever's being thrown at you. But by the same token, if I'm showing an aeroplane that's just come out, because quite often aeroplane developers will approach me and say, yeah, we'll give you a free copy. Would you mind showing it on your channel? Because obviously it's pre-sales for them, isn't it? And I never want to show things in a bad light if I can help it. So an interesting one, though, recently was the black box simulations turbine Defender. So I did a live stream with it in the Swiss Alps, and the weather turned in on us and became horrific, and I actually soldiered on for a little while through the weather, which made it that kind of bit more interesting. But in the end I gave up and said, who really wants to watch a grey screen with an aeroplane with its instruments spinning around like yo-yos for the next hour? So we removed the weather for a while and had very pretty Swiss mountains all around us. Oh, it's interesting, yeah. So Newell's saying the same thing. He's in the Netherlands, only has time to fly in the evening, same as me. So you end up over here a lot. Yeah, the clouds are going to be great in 2024. They've introduced the landscape affects the clouds more, doesn't it? So the movement of air and the temperatures or the air pressures around the ground will cause clearances in the cloud. So you'll see like circles of cloud around volcanoes and mountains and things like that. So, for example, Mount Fuji, I think they showed in the pre-sales. I like flying anywhere, to be honest. It's always a huge surprise to me when you go somewhere remote and it has wonderful scenery. I've organised a lot of group flights in the past, and the aiming guide, or what always seemed to work, is find somewhere hilly. Because Flight Sim tends to do hilly scenery very, very well. Even if it's just rolling hills. So, I don't know, like the top of Idaho or somewhere like that is fantastic scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. With canyons and rolling hills and gullies, and it's very, very nice. Yeah, Wales is fantastic. The Lake District is as well, up in the north of England, but then you realise flying through it in an aeroplane how small it is. It's only about 70 miles end to end, isn't it, the Lake District? So in a fairly fast aeroplane, you've flown the whole length of it in the space of 20 minutes. Yeah, the gang at Virtual Flight Online that have essentially taken over doing the group flights, because for about the first couple of years I did all the group flights at Virtual Flight Online, and you do run out of ideas pretty quickly. So it's been fantastic to hand over, and the huge difference with a group flight, especially if you're using Discord for voice channels, is if you have somebody local, it makes an enormous difference for them to be able to tell you about the area you're flying over. It gives it that extra layer of interest. So one that comes to mind, we did a flight over Germany, it must be 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, when the Germany scenery first came out. And we had a couple of Germans who spoke very good English involved in the group flight. And it was fantastic. They provided so much, insight into where we were flying, what the places were like. It was great. We've done the same in the US, obviously, with over in the Carolinas. And we've got several members who live out that way, and they know the area inside out. The same in the Midwest over in the US here. I've had several people on group flights act as tour guides essentially during the flight, and it's made all the difference. Yeah, Peter does an enormous amount of work on the virtual flights. And I imagine he comes up against the same stumbling block that I did after a couple of years, when you kind of run out of... You end up scrolling the map looking for clusters of airfields near hilly areas. And you just end up in, down a rabbit hole in LittleNavMap with the terrain view on for half an hour, looking for candidates. We have tried going to a few famous places in the past as well, and we've tried a few famous routes as well. There was one we did with fighter jets a while back, following the Sidewinder low-level route out it's in Southern California actually, where the Air Force does their low-level training. So, Newell's saying, do you do shared cockpit? I've never done it. I know several people that have. So there's several options around, isn't there? I think the one that I've heard of being used was Your Controls. So we also have the question, are you going to buy or fly the MiG-25? I didn't know there was a MiG-25 coming. To be honest, I've got a bit of a love-hate thing with the fighter jets in Flight Sim. They are always quite poor relations to the alternatives in DCS, obviously because of the nature of the simulator. But somebody did point something out to me recently, that one of the reasons for not really liking the fighter jets is that obviously none of the sensor systems work on them, or the weapon systems. But then somebody did point out to me one day how many operational Air Force pilots have ever fired a weapon in anger. And it's a tiny bit of a percent of them. Yeah, we've just reading that comment from Bin Monkey about the community on Virtual Flight Online flying together. We worked really hard, and we continue to. We have many moderators we've worked really hard to stamp out the idiots, basically. That's probably quite a disparaging term, but there's no swearing, there's no dirty jokes, there's no racism, there's no politics, there's no religion. It's just people who are aviation enthusiasts taking part. And at the start of every flight, well, you will have seen it, the rules are read out that, you know, none of those subjects, thank you very much. We're here to fly and to talk about aeroplanes and flying, and that's it. We've all seen the official Flight Simulator Discord server. Actually, I'm not sure how official it is, but it's, yeah, it's a continual firefight there, and the moderators seem to fight a losing battle most of the time. Well, to be honest, we've set the Discord server up with auto moderation at Virtual Flight Online, so it checks for, you know, any how would you put it, untoward content, and it automatically removes it. But then we also have moderators that will remove anything that slips through. We also have lots of rules built into the Discord server. So, for example, just recently we stopped people from posting videos in the general channel because it just clogs it up with rubbish a lot of the time. So we have got video channels, and we've got lots of forums. So the forum channels are much better for that. So people don't have videos forced down their throat if they don't want to see them. But yeah, by all means, everybody go and take part in the Virtual Flight Online flights. You can organise your own flights. You don't have to just wait for them to come up. Anyone in the community at Virtual Flight Online can actually organise an event. Obviously, it's on you to then market that event, so you probably want to do it several days in advance, so everybody gets a chance to see it's coming up. Because our big battle has always been, when I used to organise them, I kind of instituted the idea of doing them at 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening. And of course that was 8 o'clock UK time, which doesn't suit the rest of the world wonderfully. Okay, we're about to cross over Big Sur State Park. So I'm just going to have a quick look at this. I don't know how close we're going to get to that peak, but it's looking dangerous. Should we come back into the cockpit? And can we get the terrain up on here? There's a way of doing it, isn't there? Oh no, we're going to be fine. I thought we could get a terrain view. Okay, why is that broken? Have I managed to break the aeroplane again? We want map, don't we? Oh no, ND, sorry. So we're going to be okay. So anybody that's, while we're flying along, we've got a couple of minutes, I'll go and open up a browser just to show you. So Virtual Flight Online is the website that I founded quite some time ago now. If you just search for it online, you'll find the website itself. So you just want virtualflightonline.com, don't you? Flightonline.com. Virtual Flight Online. What have I done? Oh, it's virtualflight.online, isn't it? See, look, I found it, and I can't even remember the URL myself. There we go. So it has a newsletter, a Discord server, and a Facebook group. There's a virtual airline. There's group flights, as everybody's been talking about. The newsletter tells you anything interesting that's coming up. So there's all sorts of stuff in there. Goes out fairly regularly. The Discord server, obviously, we've all been talking about. So I can open up Discord and show you that briefly. Let me just minimize that web page. So if we come in here, we can see here's the Virtual Flight Online Discord server. So there's news channels, rules, and all the rest of it that you'd expect to see. There's the general channel with just general conversation going on. There's an introductions channel, which shows you how popular it is. Look, all these people in the last few weeks have all been saying hello and introducing where they're from and so on and so forth. There's screenshots, which is tremendously busy. People posting videos as well of things going on. There's the events forum, so there's a topic for each event that happens. If you look in the events calendar, you can see the upcoming events. And like I said, anyone can create an event. And then there's forums for 2020 and for 2024. There's the airline specific forums, there's resources, so there's logbook, flight plans, software, hardware, everything you might want to find in there. Where has oh, of course, aeroplanes has moved over to the simulator sections, but yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's a busy server. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. So if you get a chance, go and join virtualflight.online. If you just search for it on Discord, we are in the directory because we're popular enough. We've got several thousand members. So if you search for virtualflight.online in the directory, you will find it. And it will obviously bring you straight back in. But yeah, it's a huge community. It all started really by accident. We're fine. So the Discord server really started by accident. It was just me and a few friends, and then I posted our group flights out to the Microsoft forums in the early days, and before we knew it, we had 50, 60 people joining the flights. So one of the best things about the community is there is a community support channels. So if you've got a problem with your sim, you can just go and post it in the forum in Discord, and others will, other people that have got the sim will usually chip in with a bit of help. Obviously, the more people you get looking at it, the more chance that someone's seen the same sort of problem. Okay. So we have gone wrong. So we are going to take over control because the airplane has obviously not got the route, which gives us something to do, doesn't it? So let's go and go heading mode. I'm going to turn to 40 degrees. Across these hills, out into the valley over there. And we're going to go and tune in 10850 on the nav radio. Interesting. Why wouldn't that accept that? Escape. Click in there again. 108.50. Enter. Transfer it to active. And we're in heading mode at the moment, so we can change over to VOR mode. So we've now got this working, and we need to change the course, don't we? So 315, we might not have to. That probably is runway direction. No, it isn't. So where's the course knob? 315 is the runway direction. Okay, so that's all set up correctly for the ILS. We're obviously far too high at the moment, so the runway, let's go and have a look at this quickly. Elevation, Salinas, 84 feet, so 2,500 feet coming into here would be good. Obviously we're too high at the moment, so we'll go and set our target altitude for 2,500 feet. And we'll go indicated airspeed mode to get there. So it's come in at the speed we're doing, so all we need to do is drop our speed. And the nose is going to drop to maintain the same speed. And then we'll just spin the heading bug around to do a loop in the valley. We are coming down a little bit steeply, maybe. So what we're trying to do is loop in and then come in on the ILS. So we're 1,000 feet away from our target altitude. Obviously the ground's a bit higher this end of the valley than the other. So we're 400 feet to drop. Keep this turn going to 315. Let's get rid of some of this speed. So we're at 2,500 feet now, so we are influencing speed now with the throttle. Okay, we can't use the flaps just yet. I should have looked up the numbers really, shouldn't I? So we can see the glide slope is showing. There's the localizer. So we'll hold off to one side. There's the runway. So we're a little bit slower now. That's better. Flaps down. Go and put the... Oh, we never turned the landing lights off earlier. It was a bit of a panic, wasn't it? It's still complaining about oxygen. Obviously need to read the book on that. So we're almost on the centre line. Wind is slightly from the left of our nose though, so we'll go a few degrees off. And we could go nav mode now. So it's on localizer. So the aeroplane's now holding the CDI itself. And if we wanted to, we could go approach mode. You can see the glide slope is coming. So if we go approach, you will see that there. Look, GS has appeared underneath ALT. So as the glide slope comes through, you should see or hopefully, the altitude will start winding off. So if we go and put the gear down, we're plenty slow enough now. We do need to keep an eye on the drag though, because it will start to affect the aeroplane. So we're going to open the throttle slightly and hold it at 150 knots for the moment. Okay, glide slope is about to come through. Let's keep an eye on it. We're in glide slope mode, and there it goes. There goes the vertical speed. It's now tracking the localizer and the glide slope. Obviously we're picking up speed now because we're going downhill, so we're going to pull the throttle back a little bit. And there's the runway. So we can go and pull the display. Now, was it plus or minus? There we go. So the airfield will come into view on the nav display in a moment. Rate the plane out of 10. The bits that are in the other versions of it were great. The new bits, like being able to put incorrect cargo in and destabilize the aeroplane, were slightly frightening. How we survived the first 30 seconds, I will never know. We're too fast for maximum flaps, so let's go and start winding off a bit more speed. Yeah, so we need 125-ish. If we put the head tracking on, then we can look around as we're coming in. Watch the cars on the freeway. I guess I ought to get ready on the joystick. I don't know if this has auto land or not. I tend to prefer landing myself anyway. Okay, we are now slow enough. Just balancing the throttle to stop ourselves decelerating any further. That's about right. Okay, autopilot off. This is me now. Give the wings a waggle. Shall we just tweak this a little bit so I can see the glide slope at least? Going high.
500.
We're still high. We're in the speed warning zone. It's fine. There's no puppy lights here, I've just noticed. We're visual anyway. It's not really a problem, is it?
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Those reverse pitch propellers are good, aren't they? Stopped us in no time. So I'm guessing we park over there. Let's go and straighten our view up. Hopefully we can turn off a bit further up. Yeah, there's another line. Good. One day I'll have to have a look and see if there's some nice scenery for Salinas, but I'm loath to buy any more scenery at the moment because 2024 is coming. Chop him up with the propeller. Should we go around this other ATR and park alongside him? Okay, so brakes on. So the only reason I was accelerating so hard around the airport is because I was running the propellers on max all the time, and obviously as soon as they grab the air, it accelerates like crazy, as you say in the live stream comments. So thanks for watching. That was a bit more eventful than it needed to be, but it was good fun to fly down the California coast there and have a look at some of it. So if we go and backtrack, you can see we had our eventful almost disaster takeoff until we threw all of the cargo into the bay. We'll probably get a letter now from the Coast Guard saying what you're going to do with all these rubber chickens that were supposed to be going to Fozzie's factory. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.